All right, folks, it's a little tight access here, but this is the next project we got going on. I'm gonna take and demo this house here, load it in dumpsters and clean this property up for this guy. We got to leave this front porch here, so that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we should be able to make it work. But I got the 323 dropped off earlier today. Swapped out buckets. This bucket meshes with my thumb where the tines will go through the teeth there. So anyway, I'm gonna set you guys up here on the traco and let you watch me tear this sucker down. filming. Well, folks, we got very, very fortunate. You guys didn't get mashed, and I found you laying over there in the weeds. The battery died just when I picked you up, but that's a good start on this one. I'll finish this video up tomorrow. Just had to come out here and go ahead and get this container loaded up. That way they could come bring me another one in the morning. Hopefully, I'd say probably two, maybe 3 more containers, and we'll have this thing licked. So you guys just stay tuned and I'll get this video finished up for you. Well, folks, we've had drama all day long. They've had the people that this house got way behind on back taxes and a bunch of other stuff that ain't none of my damn business, and I don't really care. But they've had months to come out here and get all their shit and take it and get it cleaned up and sort through all their stuff, and well, they didn't come do it. And now they're trying to talk me into trying to basically let them pick through all this stuff and go dig up time capsules and do all this stuff. And I'm like, folks, I've got a job to do. I've got to get out of here. I've got stuff I've got to do today, and I'm trying to get this thing done. I said, I don't have time to do this. I said, if y'all had all this, if y'all knew all this stuff was here, I said, you should have damn went and got it took care of before I started tearing the damn house down. Because now, I'm not waiting on you. I've got stuff I've got to do. And I don't have time to sit here and let you pick. I don't know what you're going to find. I said, I've mashed it all up, and crunched it up where it fit in this dumpster. I said, there ain't nothing that's going to be worth saving, because I've mauled all of it, and they're all mad at me, and they're trying to get me to go poking around in the backyard with the track hoe and doing all this, and I'm like, guys, I'm not doing it. I said, I'll call the owner and see what he wants, see what he's got to say, but I said, more than likely, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take a chance of digging up a daggum water line or a gas line or internet or whatever to look for a daggum time capsule. So, anyway, they're videoing and they're just having a damn hell of a time. I don't give a damn. I'm here doing what the owner told me to do, and that's what I'm doing. Sorry about your bad luck, but I ain't got time for this. Probably got me on Facebook Live. Cruel construction owner tears down family heirloom. Or some bullshit. I don't give a fuck. I gotta quit cussing on these videos. YouTube sent me something about I'm gonna get partnered, or welcome to the partner club, or something along them lines, and I didn't know I was getting partnered, but they said something about videos getting demonetized or something because because you're can't cuss, whatever. So I guess I've got to mind my P's and Q's for whatever this partner thing is now. I've got to get back there to the back of that house and transfer all this. I wish this dadgum wish I could move this concrete and stuff. I may just pile it up there in the front. I ain't really made my mind up yet with what I'm gonna do with it, but I need to get around through there where I can transfer the rest of this junk. I don't know what the hell she's videoing. I guess they're mad at me. I don't really give a damn. It ain't my problem. I didn't do it. Pay your taxes. That's all I can tell you. If you don't pay your bills, they're gonna send you shit off. Simple as that. If you don't pay your taxes, they're gonna send your house to auction. Not my problemo. I mean, I feel for the people. You know, it was their grandma's house, wife, sister, whatever. You know, I get that, but at the end of the day, you know, you say you've got a business and you run dump trailers and do all this stuff, but you can't afford to pay the taxes on the property. I don't give a damn. I don't. I mean, I feel bad for them, but in a way, you know, to a certain extent, I feel bad for them. But in reality, I really don't. Like, I got to pay my bills, or they're gonna come take my shit away. You know, so why are you special? You know, you think that's that victim mentality. You know, everybody thinks the world owes them something. You know, like, oh well, my grandma this, and my grandma that, and this was her house, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I mean, I feel for you, I do, but you got to pay your daggone taxes. You know, if you don't pay your taxes, they're gonna come take your shit. I guarantee you, they're gonna come take your shit. So, anyway, that's what I'm dealing with this morning. She's still videoing. She's mad at the world. She's either videoing because she thinks it's cool, or she's videoing trying to stir up some shit. So, either way, I really don't care. I ain't doing nothing wrong. We got the man that owns this house got demo permits and everything he needed, and he told me to tear it down, so that's what I'm doing. It's a little awkward. This dumpster's, we don't have a lot of room on this lot to put these dumpsters. As you can see, and so I'm having to kind of pull up, back up a few times to get all this stuff loaded in these dumpsters. Try to get the edges as clean as you can for the guy that they got to put a tarp over it. You know, they got to be legal going down the road. You know, they can't have stuff flying off, you know, hitting cars, what have you. So I can't get a hold of the owner of this place. I've tried calling him this morning, and he's not answering. So I'll just have to work around this foundation for now. He asked me not to. He asked me to leave it. I'm assuming just because he didn't want to have to pay to have it hauled off. You know, they can probably, they can definitely bury it in the foundation, or you know, whatever they need to do when they build their new house. Use it as fill. More than likely they'll dig a footer and then block it up for the crawl space, and then fill in. You know, put all their plumbing and stuff in, and then fill in underneath it with some gravel, and then they can get rid of all this stuff. So, but yeah, we probably got one, maybe two more dumpster worth. Probably two more. I don't think I can fit all the rest of that stuff in one more dumpster. So I should get it done. I'll definitely get it done if I didn't have to cut out of here at about 11. We got a charity golf tournament we're playing in, and I've got to run to the bank, sign some paperwork. I bought a D6N bulldozer. Keep out there at the farm and use it on occasional jobs. You know, if I need another dozer for something. So. It was supposed to be here last night. It was about 3 hours away from where I live, and something happened at the scale house, and they had to where all those roads got blown out by that hurricane in North Carolina. They had to reroute them a different way, and then can't run over width in North Carolina at night with lights like you can in Tennessee. And so then they had to basically go up to Virginia and then get back on 81, come back down into Tennessee. And they just were hoping that that Virginia had the same laws as Tennessee. So it was a crapshoot, basically. They don't know. They weren't exactly sure what was going to happen, but anyway, I'm trying to get all this crap away from me. I tell you, this isn't my favorite thumb in the world because of the two tines. They're a little aggravating, but it's a progressive link thumb, and that's good enough for me. I just mashed something. I don't know what that is, but looks like an old air conditioner or something. Not really supposed to put metal in those, but we're gonna sneak it in there. Alright folks, I'm gonna go around here and finish transferring the rest of this junk up here where I can reach it and load it into this container, and I'll see you guys back on here in a minute. Alrighty folks, back to regular scheduled programming. Finally got all those people out of here. I just told them, I was like, guys, y'all got to get out of here. I said, y'all are a liability. I'm not, I'm trying to get a job done here, and you guys walking around the track and watching and doing. So y'all got to go on somewhere. I've got shit to do, and y'all are just hindering my ability to work, and get things done. And I said, that's not working real good for me anymore. I said, I felt bad for you, and I was trying to sympathize with you, and then the owner told me that he's giving you all like 10 months to get your stuff, come out here and get your stuff out, and you still haven't done it, and now you want to get it out when I'm out here tearing it down. That don't work real good for me, especially since you've had all the time in the world to get it done and you haven't. So sorry about your luck, but time is well past. And unfortunately, you had plenty of time to get it done, and you didn't. Now you're trying to make it my problem that you were too lazy to come out here and do what you're supposed to do. And now that I'm here tearing it down, now you want to come get your stuff. Now you want to go through everything. No, that ain't gonna work. Sorry. I don't feel bad for you anymore. When the man that bought it gave you in basically an entire year to get your stuff out and you didn't, that's nobody's fault but your own. But this is kind of what we got going on, folks. I'm gonna finish loading up this dumpster here and I'll turn this camera back on here in a little bit. Well, folks, that's a wrap on this one. I got everything cleaned up. Got to pick up a few odds and ends things by hand, and once I get this dumpster out of the way, we'll make sure we get all the little scraps cleaned up. But that house is gone, and that's a wrap on this one. So I appreciate everybody watching. So y'all stay tuned. We got a bunch more work coming up, so plenty more videos to be watched. So anyway, y'all have a good rest of the weekend.